Welcome to Pera's Playbook. This is your host, Alex Pera. Let's open up our playbook and see who our guest is. Please enjoy.
Episode 148 of Pera's Playbook. Today we're joined by Geo Corvera. He's a stuntman and an actor. He's been in stunts, various movies, Ant-Man, Iron Man, Spider-Man, No Way Home, Blue Beetle, Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F, Bad Boys Ride or Die, many others. And he's also had some acting roles, and more recently Cobra Kai, also Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and again other films and TV shows. So we're glad to have Geo on. We're going to take a kind of a look into the stunt side of the film industry, but happy to have him on. How are you?
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of Cobra Kai people on the podcast, and it's kind of fitting that with the show ending. So I think you are the sixth person on the podcast that has been associated with Cobra Kai
Oh,
in some form or fashion.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it was a good
Yeah.
show to work on, man. Growing up watching The Karate Kid and all that stuff, so it was a blessing, yeah, to be part of it.
We can dive into that a little bit later on in the podcast. Why don't we start kind of by talking like how you got into stunts? I know when I was reading, it said that you were interested in martial arts at a young age. So I guess let's start there. How old were you when you got into martial arts?
Yeah, I remember watching a Bruce Lee movie when I was like 7 years old, and of course I was always imitating him. And then Ninja Turtles came out, so yeah, running around the house, kicking everything. So my parents put me in martial arts when I was 8 years old, and from there, I always said I want to be in movies. I want to be Bruce Lee, Ninja Turtle, and I didn't know how. Like I said before, I grew up in Virginia, and movie stuff is not, like Hollywood, Los Angeles and stuff. So at the time, of course, I'm a kid. I didn't know, but I was like, that's what I want to be. I want to be in movies. So
Yeah,
when I competed, I traveled the United States competing and whatnot, and then I had a friend of mine, Arnold Chan, who's also a stunt performer, stunt coordinator, second unit director in Hollywood business. He convinced me to move to LA back in 2000, and like the rest is history, like they say.
yeah, that'd be pretty scary in the moment to kind of like take that leap and just move out there and try to jump into the film business. I mean, were you pretty nervous when you made that decision?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like I said earlier, I always wanted to do it. I didn't know how to. I wouldn't have done it on my own. Like I said, when my friend convinced me to it, he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna move to LA to get into movies. You said you always wanted to do that. Let's both do it together." So when you have someone, to do it with, then yeah, it's a little less scary. And I was 22 years old, first time on my own, and being like an adult, having to bills to pay and things like that was all new to me. So yeah, it's kind of a little nerve wracking. I didn't know what was gonna happen, but I'm the type of person I believe and I put in the work and something always turns out. So I definitely knew that I was gonna do good.
Yeah. So once you got out there, what was your kind of like first step into making it a reality?
Yeah. So I actually started doing extra work, a background, and I joined a couple of background agencies, in LA, and they started booking me. I'm not sure if you know how it works. At least in Los Angeles, you have to get three SAG vouchers in order to join the union, the Screen Actors Guild. So it took me almost a year to get my SAG vouchers, and then I was hanging out at there's still a gym called LA Valley College where a lot of stunt people used to hang out, you name it, from break dancers, gymnasts, martial artists. We all just like used to train together. And someone was like, "Oh, they're looking for short guys that can do gymnastics and martial art for this movie. You should go try out." I'm like, "Oh, that I fit that. I'm short. I do martial arts and gymnastics." And I went to the audition, and it happened to be The Rundown with The Rock. So that was my big first movie, after, like I said, trying to get into the business.
So when you're doing all of these movies as a stunt person, I mean, you've been in, you've done stunts for a ton of major movies, superhero movies, all this stuff. Do you have much interaction with the main cast? Like, are you, working with them one on one because you're kind of doing the stuff that everyone sees, right? It looks like The Rock is doing it, but maybe it's because it's the back of a stunt man, or they take a certain shot. So are you working pretty closely with that main cast?
Yeah. So, for example, the rundown is all the movies are different. You get to work, with the talent depending on the scene that you win. But most of the time, we're doing the scenes with the main characters of the movie. So we're usually doing the action, the fights, the shootings, or whatever with them. So we have rehearsal days. So with the rundown, for example, we rehearsed our scene, the jungle fight scene. For like a month. So yeah, Monday through Friday, like a regular job, we clock in at 9, rehearse all day training, and The Rock is there, he's learning all the fights, and of course, we're doing everything safely, before actually, we start filming the following month after all the rehearsal. And of course, he's got a stunt double too. But yeah, we get to work with the main cast the majority of the time.
Do you ever have like starstruck moments when you're working with some of these people?
Um, I'll be honest. I mean, not anymore. I've been doing this I just turned actually
Yeah,
this month, February, 25 years of doing this business. So you could say I'm a dinosaur, but so I'm used to it. But there's been a couple of artists, but just because I grew up watching them, and The Rock was one of them because I grew up watching the WWE, the wrestling. So he was one of my favorites. So when I did see him, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, oh, like all nervous and everything. Johnny Depp, was another one of my favorite actors, and I got to work with him on the pirate movies. So there's been a couple, and just because they were my favorites growing up, their movies and things like that, and now I actually was in front of them, they're talking to me, shaking hands, like the whole nine. So yeah, there's been a couple. There's been a couple.
yeah, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
So on,
And I mean, I mean, the other thing, and I know a lot of people, might be like, oh, they're just people and this and that, but some of these people that they have certain presence, that I don't know, you get nervous or um they bring some kind of energy, onto you too, they just have this energy or this presence, and that gets you excited. So it's definitely cool to work with some of them, especially The Rock. I mean, as a stunt performer, martial artist, gymnast, I'm an athlete. I appreciate the people that, like, I don't know if you watch his videos or follow him, but waking up at 4 in the morning, training, the dieting, I mean, you name it. And I love that kind of stuff too. So you can relate. So that, yeah, I look up to him. I think he's an all around, type of person. He takes his job serious. He's still a cool, down to earth guy. Um, very talented. I mean, and he just, yeah, he's got the whole package, man.
yeah, yeah, he's got a pretty intense workout regimen, that's for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah.
And I interviewed a different actor a little while back who had worked with The Rock on a project, and he said, the same thing about him being down to earth, being just like an honest, good
Hmm.
guy, nice person. Because he gives off that impression in his interviews and stuff, but
Yeah,
sometimes it's hard to know if that's real or fake.
that's
So
true.
it's
Yeah.
nice. It's nice to hear the firsthand account. Like, no, he's actually a decent person. He's actually the way he seems. He's not fake. It's all genuine. It's nice to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. Yeah, you're right about it because I've worked with some other ones. I'm not gonna name anybody, but you're like, oh my God, no, I'm not gonna curse or anything, but yeah,
Yeah,
they're not cool, It's like what, and then it's kind of disappointing, sometimes because it's a job, and I get it, we all want to do a good job, and but sometimes people mess up or something, but I don't think you need to like go off on them. Sometimes I've seen people get fired on the spot because the actor, didn't like something that they did or something. I don't know, man. Like, yeah. So
Yeah,
some of them have shocked me, and I was like, oh, that wasn't cool, but I think the
right.
fame and all that stuff takes it to their head, sometimes. But I mean, there's people.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely arrogant, people with big egos, especially in Hollywood, like pro athletics. I mean, you're going to come across those people, um, and it's just the way of the world, right? Like, there's always going to be
Yeah.
people that are like that,
Hmm.
and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
So on IMDb, for each of your credits, it lists different things. Some of them it just says stunts. Some of them say stunt performer. Some of them say utility stunts. Like, what's the difference between all of those? I mean, is there a big difference between each one, or is it all kind of the same?
It all kind of is the same. I mean, they try to break it down, like utility stunts, could be you're still performing, like say you're playing a cop or a gangster, but you can also be like a driver or a rigger, do some other stuff on the side. Stunt performer, kind of the same thing, but you're more, I think they describe it more like you're a character in that scene. You're more involved. So, but at the end of the day, they're kind of the same. I don't know how, on IMDb they break it down. When they do that, they just add me, because I work on the project. So I've never been really familiar when I've seen that before. Stunt performer, utility stunts, whatever. But yeah, it ends up being kind of the same, you know.
Yeah. So when you're getting a role, I mean, do they give you like a rundown of like all of everything that you're going to have to be responsible for this project? Like, hey, you're going to be fighting, and we're going to need you to do some hard falls, or we're going to get you thrown off a building, or like, do you get like a list of everything you're going to have to do?
Yeah, so depending on the of the stunt. A lot of times, honestly, they already, like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, so they already know. Even though I've done it all, the car hits fire, burns, stair falls, wire work, but they know me. If somebody was to say, "What is Gio's background?" Everyone knows martial artist, gymnast, So if it's something like that, at least for me, they'll just be, "Hey, are you available to work on Friday?" And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." You'll get more details as we get close. So I know it's going to be something along, with my skills, some kind of fighting, gymnastic stuff, right? But if it's something specific, like I said, a car hit, a fire burn, yeah, they'll give you a heads up. So, let's say if it's a fire burn, you got to bring your fireproof, outfit and everything. If you're doing wire work, you bring your harness, things like that. So yeah, they give you a heads up, so you're prepared with your gear, for a specific, yeah. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, they're just like, you know, are you available to work on this movie? But yeah, and sometimes depending on the coordinator, they'll break the scene down. Oh yeah, we're gonna have a shootout with, yeah, like The Rock. He's gonna come in kicking the door down. He's gonna grab you and throw you against the wall. They'll break it step by step. But some coordinators don't. They just ask if you're available.
Yeah. So then
Yeah.
is stunt coordinator kind of like the next step up, like working your way up the ladder, in the industry?
Yeah, yeah, and actually, I don't know if you saw 'em in my credits. I've coordinated also. That's my thing. From stuntman, fight choreographer, stunt coordinator, of course, acting. But yeah, after a stuntman, yeah, your next step is stunt coordinator, and then second unit director. You know, unless other people tend to move to acting and or some other behind the scenes type of stuff, cameras, directing, producing. So yeah, stunt
So
coordinating. Yeah.
you've done some acting roles. I mean, were those just because you were doing stunts and they decided to give you some screen time as well, or how did like, did you decide like, hey, I want to dive into acting, I want to try this a little bit?
Yeah, both of those. There's been projects that on the spot it just look weird that maybe the actor says something and you don't answer. So they'll tell you, we need you to say this, or when he says that, answer like this, or blah blah blah. So there's been times that on the spot they gave me lines, or I had to improvise or something. But no, I also have an agent, an acting agent. commercial and theatrical agent. So they've submitted me for stuff like Agents of Shields. I don't know if you saw them in my credits, and Hand of God. These are some of my like bigger projects, that I've done acting in. Barry, So I actually did go to audition for those, and against whatever 100 other people, and they picked me. So yeah, there's been a couple of times that on the spot they gave me lines, and then but nah, a lot of times I had to audition for them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I figured it was probably a mix of both, and just like depending on what they need, right? Like you said, if the guy says something and you don't say anything, it's not like they're going to want to bring in another actor and like refilm it. So yeah, I mean that'd just be a big pain in the rear. It's easier to just give you a few lines and then
Yeah.
you get the acting credit.
And sometimes they've liked it. Like I've been on scenes, like I just said, that maybe the actor or somebody said something, and I felt weird not to say something. And like I said, I improvised, and I said, some kind of line that he went that way, and and they loved it and they kept it. They never cut it out. So I'm like, oh, cool, because sometimes, I
Yeah.
mean, with acting, right? I mean, it's got to be you, right? And how would you react to that situation if somebody tells you, hey man, somebody just called me on the phone? You're just not gonna be like quiet. You're gonna answer like, oh,
Right.
who's calling you? You're like a normal conversation, like with anybody. So
Yeah.
yeah, I've done that too without them telling me what to say or do. Like I said, I just reacted, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just like it's like a normal conversation. I suppose if they
Hmm.
don't like it, they'll tell you
And
if
then they
they if
cut it
they
out.
don't
Yeah,
like
and
it.
that
Right.
happens too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So but yeah, yeah.
So, you've worked on, I mean, a ton of different projects. Do you have a favorite that you've worked on? I mean, it might be hard to pick, but like, are there any that really
Yeah.
stand out that you just enjoyed?
I always tell the people because I get that question a lot, from everybody. Like I said, I've been doing this for 25 years. Um, they all the projects for me have some stories, um, and reasons for me liking them. So I really don't have one specific. Um, every time I did a new stunt, like I just said earlier, I'm a martial artist and a gymnast. So let's say, for example, the first time I had to do a car hit, that was exciting for me. At first time I have to do a fire gag or a wire gag, those were new to me. So yeah, they were exciting. So at the end of the day, I'm like, hell yeah, I got to do a car hit or a fire burn, So those were great moments for me. But also certain ones traveling, I got to travel, to Europe a couple of times, Mexico, South America, and do movies. So um, that was another great feeling for me, getting to travel to other places for work, places I'd never been to. So those projects became my favorites at those times. So um, and then depending on who I worked with, uh, like I said earlier, either The Rock, The Rundown, of course, The Rundown will always be, one of like my biggest ones due to it was my first big movie ever. Okay. Working with The Rock, like I said, he was one of my favorites. And we ended up winning awards, for that jungle fight scenes, from MTV and the Tours Awards. And so that has a lot of things of the reason that I would love that I love that one, or that's one of my
Yeah.
favorite ones. So, but and then of course Agents of Shields, um, playing a character. That character is kind of like me, except meaning like in the show, he pumped himself up with steroids and he becomes really, really big. I don't do strict steroids, but I do work out and I consider myself pretty strong, type of guy. So when they were like, we need a short guy that looks strong and whatever, for this kind of character. And I was like, hey, that's me, you know? So,
Yeah.
which is funny. With that movie, honestly, I mean, the TV show, I just finished doing a quick short story. I just finished working on Ant-Man, the first one, and in Atlanta. So I went back to LA, and it was I think it was like the first week of December, and I already been on Ant-Man for like a month working on it. So my agent calls me, and she's like, I want you to go to audition for this show, Agents of Shields. And I was like, oh man, I just got, back from Atlanta. It's starting to get, closer to the holidays. So I'll be honest, I didn't want to go. I'm like, oh, I don't really want to go, whatever. And she's like, no, you should go read for this part, blah, blah, blah. I go for the scene. Usually, if you haven't heard within 2 or 3 days latest, that means you didn't get the part. They went with somebody else. They usually within 1 to 3 days, you'll know if you got the part. 2 weeks went by, and I didn't hear nothing from it. So I was like, okay, I didn't get it, whatever. I didn't care. Working out with my friends, they call me. They're like, hey, are you available to work such and such dates for Agents of Shields? I said, yeah, but then I paused and I said, excuse me, I just auditioned for the show about 2 weeks ago for this part. Is this for that? And he's like, yeah, you booked the part. Oh, sure, yeah, And then, like I said, it was because it was 2 weeks later, and like I said, I didn't think that I got it. So, yeah, that's how I ended up getting the Agents of Shields Francis Noche character. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of a nice
Mhm.
surprise. You'd already moved on. You were
Yeah.
thinking about other things.
Yeah, and that's how it usually is. Even I mean, even after audition, once you leave that room, I'm just like, oh, next, focus on the next thing. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
and then
because you
the
never
other
know
thing I
what you're
have
gonna
to add
get.
real quick to that story, um, and that scene, everybody has had stunt doubles except for me. They wanted to get a stunt double for me, but then the coordinator, it was first time working for him, so he thought that I was actually an actor, not a stunt performer. And then I walked up to him. I said, "Hey, sir, I heard you guys talking about getting stunt doubles for the actors." Um, and I said, I do stunts, and he's like, really? And then the fight choreographer knows me. So he's like, oh yeah, Gio's really good in fights, and he's a stunt performer. So yeah, and they're like, okay, you get to play yourself even with the stunts, So I did the acting and the stunts, and everyone had a stunt double except for me. So that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't need a stunt double for the stunt guy.
Yeah, but it happens though, which and in a second I'll tell you another story with the Cobra Kai.
Yeah, yeah, we'll get there here in a little bit. Um, so like when these movies premiere, all these movies you do you go to the premieres as stuntman and your crew and all that? Do you attend the premiere of the movie, or does it depend on the movie? Or
Yeah, sometimes it all depends because what it is they can only get a certain amount of people, right? Let's say the theater, only fits, we'll say 500 people. And of course, that's including other people that did not work on the movie that they invite. So let's say the project had 1,000 people working on the movie, and we just said only 500 fit in the theater. Yeah, like the other half won't make it, you know? So
yeah,
I've attended some, and some I didn't. And then it also comes down to uh, the level that you're in and in the project. Like, of course, if you're one of the leads, the main people. Oh yeah, you're definitely in. But if you came in to do like a day and say one line, yeah, they probably won't invite you to the red carpet thing. So
yeah,
yeah, so it does depends. Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, so I mean, you mentioned doing a lot of different stunts, car hits and fire burns and wire work, and obviously martial arts and fighting and all this stuff. I mean, what's like the most dangerous stunt that you've had to do for a movie or show?
Um, I would say the first time doing a car hit, um, in first because first of all I'd never done it, and they taught me actually on the day. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna tell some secrets here with how we did it. First of all, I was doubling the kid on a movie called Madhouse. The kid runs into the street and the car's coming, so he starts running. So the driver, in reality, he's going slow, like 10 miles an hour, 15 miles an hour, or whatever. So as I was running, I kind of keep looking over my shoulder. As he got close, I just jumped and sat on the hood of the car. Okay. So the first take, I'm running, I jumped, but I landed on the bumper of the car, not on the hood. So it started dragging my feet under the car. Luckily, the driver, he's a stunt performer, professional stunt performer. He hit the brakes, but yeah, I almost went under the car, you know? And so that was scary, And then
Yeah.
they're like, we're gonna do it again. And so I'm like, oh shit, this just happened. So my heart is just like, what? Okay. But they were like telling me, yeah, you gotta jump higher. You landed on the bumper. So we did the second take, same idea, running, looking over my shoulder. When the car got close to me, I jumped, landed on the hood, like sitting down, but he punches the gas, so that makes me flip over the windshield and over the car. With me, being a gymnast, like I said, martial artist, like tricker, I have air awareness. So I'll be honest, man, as I was spinning in the air, like a B twist kind of move, I saw everything like in slow motion. I see the windshield, I see the car, I see the ground. I was able to break my fall. So honestly, it wasn't bad, man. Like you would think, like, well, you're getting hit by a car. No, I mean, I'm padded up anyways, but nah, it was smooth. And of course, later they did the editing, they cut everything really fast, blah, blah, blah. So you don't really see me sitting on the car and whatever. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But that was, I would say that was my scariest one because I mean, yeah, with the other stuff, not that I get scared, but I get a little nervous, when it was my first time doing a fire gag, a high fall, things like that. Um, but I love the stuff, man, that the adrenaline, I get pumped up, I want to do the best, and so nah, I don't really get scared, you know.
Yeah. And once you do it once, I mean, are you pretty comfortable doing it again and again and again?
That's true. Yeah, that's the thing, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like
Hmm.
it's like that with, I mean, a lot of things in life. The first time you do it, you're a little iffy, but then I mean, once you get experience, I mean, you're fine. Like this year, I started reffing high school basketball, and my first couple games, I was so super nervous, and I felt real choppy, like with different stuff. But we just finished the season, and by the end of the season, I mean, no nerves before the game, calm as could be. Once you just get used to it, it's just like normal
Yeah,
everyday life for you, whatever it is,
yeah.
whatever you're doing.
Yeah, it just made me think about, you said refereeing, but I remember my first coordinating job. It was a music video. I don't know if you know the artist Iggy Azalea. I
Oh
coordinated that
yeah,
music
yeah,
video, Black Widow, the sword
yeah,
fights and all
yeah.
that. Yeah, I coordinated the video. So of course, we had like a week of rehearsals. I trained both Rita and Iggy, and of course we came up with the fight choreography. And then we're on set, and I don't know, there's 50, 80 people. I don't know. But the phone's ringing. It's funny. But the second AD goes, okay, guys, we're gonna get ready for the action. We got stunt coordinator Geo Corvera is gonna run us through everything. And I was like, what? You know, I wasn't ready, right? I'm like, huh? Like what? But because now you got 50, 80 people, staring at you. Okay, you're in charge. What's the plan? Like, and for a second, yeah, I was nervous, man. I'm like, I'm not really good at speaking in front of people. I get nervous sometimes, so and then, but when it comes to stunts, martial arts, anything like that, I do that in my sleep. So then I'm like, okay, guys, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna have the guys come in, like started getting into it. But yeah, for like a second, I did get nervous. I'm like, what? Huh? You know?
He's talking about me. Whoop.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, that was pretty funny. Yeah, but like you said, and then of course, now I've been coordinated and been in that spot a lot. So yeah, it's like I said, yeah, it becomes normal.
Yeah, yeah. I forgot. I remember looking at your credits and seeing that you've done some other music videos too, right? That you coordinated with some other artists, and you've kind of done a few different people.
Mm. Yeah, I've been blessed, man. So I think I've done about 10, 12 music videos and then a couple of features, for like Lifetime, channel, things like that. But yeah, my main thing has been music videos and yeah, man, I've been blessed. Like I said, Iggy, Eminem. I did two music videos for Eminem. Junior Castro's up and coming, Livia, Mick Mills. Um, yeah, people like that. 21 Pilots. you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been lucky too to coordinate, and they went well, and I got to meet these people that another one we're talking about, starstruck people. Eminem, he was one of my
Yeah.
favorite. I love rap music, so he's one of my favorites. So first time meeting him, I was just like, oh, it's Eminem, which actually is pretty funny. Real quick, he didn't want me to call him Eminem. He wanted me to call him, his real name is Marshall. So
Yeah.
I introduced myself. I'm like, hey, Eminem, I'm the stunt coordinator, Geo Corvera. He's like, yeah, don't call me Eminem. He goes, call me Marshall. I'm like, so it was pretty funny. I got to every time when I would talk to him, I would go try to almost say Eminem. I'm like, Marshall,
Yeah.
and but yeah, he's another one. He was really cool to work with.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really neat. Get to meet these artists, especially people when you're listening to their music all the time, right? Like all these artists, right? It's the stuff we do in our free time. We listen to their music. It makes us feel good, makes us feel happy. So then to get to work with them on a project for one of their kind of music, to know you were a part of that, right? If you go back and watch that music video, to know that you were behind the scenes helping set that all up has to be a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy about with Eminem? I actually earlier I was telling you when I first moved out to LA the first year, I got to work with him. I did background work on a music video, so I just got to see him from far away, on a music video, and then of course years later, I'm actually coordinating, the action of a Eminem music video. So it's funny how the whole thing, goes in circles sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, that's really cool. Well, why don't we wrap up the episode talking about Cobra Kai? Kind of fitting.
Oh
Just
yeah.
came out the final release. The show is over. Um, like I said, you're the sixth person to come on the show that's had any connection. You're with Cobra Kai. You played one of the bad guys that has Daniel, right?
Always, I'm the bad guy.
Yeah.
I'm good at that.
It's like you lock him up in the cage. Because I watched it a few weeks ago, but I binged it so fast because I was like, I got to see what's next. That I'm like trying to remember the scenes.
Yeah, yeah.
So were you there when he like busts out and then beats you
Yeah,
guys
so
up? Was that what
I have
happened?
to tell, yeah, I have to tell stories. It was pretty funny. So, yeah, they brought us in. They walked us through the scene, and you saw we did like a little mini fight with I just want to play with the Daniel, and
Yeah,
and it was funny because the dogs are actors also. They're not really gonna bite you and stuff, so they would get the dog all riled up in the cage, like "Rah," whatever, and they're like action, and they would open the cage, and he wouldn't attack me. He just run past by me to his trainer, you know and we did about 4 or 5 takes, and the dog was not attacking me. So they actually ended up getting the trainer to play me, and at the time my hair was longer, so they ended up putting a wig on him and everything. So actually, yeah, I had a stunt double for the when the dog bites, the was supposed to bite me. They put in the trainer to do that. So that
yeah.
was pretty
But
funny. Yeah.
so the dog was just like not comfortable going to you, or it just kept going to the guy he was familiar with.
Yeah, I guess, and like I said, the whole getting them all riled up and to bite me. I mean, he's a nice dog. He's not really gonna attack me. Like I said, he's an actor, so but yeah, he would run to his trainer, man. That's what he knew. So yeah, it was pretty
Yeah,
funny. It was funny because I get ready, like because he's supposed to bite on my arm, and of course, I'm padded up and everything, and I'm like and then I just see him run by me or whatever. Like, what the? Where'd he go?
yeah.
So
You were
yeah,
supposed to get me here.
yeah, yeah. So everyone would be cracking up and stuff. But yeah, that was a pretty fun scene. With that one, man, like I said earlier, getting to work with some of these people that I grew up watching. Um, another reason for me, getting into martial arts, these karate movies. We talked about Bruce Lee and Ninja Turtles. Karate Kid was another one, that was around when I was a kid, and I watched all of them. So when this whole thing came about, the whole Cobra Kai thing, I thought it was a great idea. I was just kind of curious, like, what are they gonna do? I mean, what's gonna be the spinoff? And I'll be honest, man, my opinion, they're great writing,
Yeah,
the whole show, I'll be honest, man, I was hooked. I was watching the whole season in 2 days sometimes,
yeah, oh
because
yeah,
yeah, I would get hooked, and I didn't want to like, oh, what's gonna happen the next episode? I want to happen, So yeah, I love this show, man. Everyone did great, you know.
yeah,
Actually, I got to also train. I was teaching stunt classes, film fightings in LA, and the girl who plays the daughter, Daniel Son's daughter,
yeah,
she was coming to my stunt classes in LA, and I remember she
yeah,
came to me and she was like, "Hey, this is before it went to YouTube and of course Netflix, but she like, I'm up for some karate show or something, and so I need to practice some karate, things like that." I'm like, "Oh, I got you," because she'd been training with me, but I didn't when the actual show started, they didn't bring me out because I was in LA and they were doing the show in Atlanta. So they wanted somebody local. So but yeah, she was already training with me before the show started.
yeah. So you trained Mary Mauser before
Mhm.
the show got big. That's pretty cool that you were
Yeah, her and
working with
her
her.
yeah, now it's her fiance, but at the time her boyfriend. Yeah, I was training him too.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty neat. So, I mean, like when the show first came out, did you like want to be? Oh yeah, yeah, Robbie. And I drew a blank there. You said boyfriend. Yeah. So you were training. I'm drawing a blank on his actor's name right now, but that's pretty cool that you
Yeah,
get to work with both of them.
yeah.
But so what I was saying is like when the show came out, did you think like, hey, maybe someday I'll get on there? I mean, you got here in the final season, but did you think you were ever going to get on there or no because it was in Atlanta?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't think I wanted to,
Yeah,
and I kept submitting. You never know what they're looking for. Sometimes it's not the skill. Yeah, you might be a martial artist and it's a karate show, but maybe you might not have that look or something. The show, as you know, was a lot of they played high school. I'm 47 years old, man. Like I can't play high school anymore.
yeah,
So I knew that was one of the reasons that they wouldn't bring me in or whatever. They were looking more for that the young look, so I didn't fit. So when this other scene came up, I guess I fit the perfect thing that they wanted, so they called me.
yeah. But it's
Yeah,
cool that you kind of had some almost behind the scenes helping Mary and Tanner train, so you were connected with the show before you were on it, but then
yeah.
eventually you actually got to be on it. You got screen time. You're part of the universe. You're part of the world.
Mhm.
So I mean, you kind of had both sides of it, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's how it is sometimes, man, and especially in our business, because of the places and the people you work with. I mean, work out with. It could be a gymnastics place, whatever. There's always what's the saying? There's like six direction, whatever separation or something. I forget how that
Oh
saying goes.
yeah, 6 degrees. There's 6 degrees
Six
of
degrees. Oh,
separation.
I said separate. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, man, there's always like you might know somebody that knows whatever, but yeah, it's a small world kind of thing at the end of the day. So sometimes I'm not saying that it's easy to get to work with some of these people, but yeah, I've been you know got to know a lot of people before actually working with them in certain movies and stuff. Some big names.
Yeah,
So
and I'm sure that it's. I mean, obviously, it's like a networking thing too, right? Like if
yeah. Mhm.
you know people, it helps you get on, um, helps you get on different shows, or once you stay connected. I mean, you did multiple Marvel movies, and that had to be partly networking. And once you work with somebody, if they like what you've done, you you know, they're gonna call you back, or you're like, hey,
Yeah.
we know he does good work, so like we can trust him to handle this scene or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it is, man. I mean, like I said earlier, like your skills matter, but yeah, it's really who you know, but then also how you carry yourself, and that's in anything in the world, right? If you're like always complaining, being negative and things like that, nobody wants to be around you. They don't care how talented you are, right? But if you're stay positive, good energy, and like you said, do great work, the people, yeah, they want you around,
Yeah,
so yeah,
yeah, for
it's very
sure.
important for that kind of stuff. Yeah, and that's how I am, anyways, man. My regular personality every day. Like, if you ask a lot of my friends, I like to joke, I like to have fun. Like, yeah, no drama, no negativity.
Yeah, and it makes it. I'm sure. Like, I mean, it's like that in all walks of life. It doesn't matter what your job is. I mean, people want to work with kind people, funny people. Lighten the mood. Somebody you can lean on. Like, nobody wants to work with that arrogant jerk that's always negative and like, never in a good mood and always bringing people down. I mean, that's just not an enjoyable work environment.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we tackled some awesome topics. I appreciate you kind of giving us an insight into the stunt world and how it works and some of your different projects that you worked on. Really enjoyed speaking with you. It was a good time.
yeah, thank you for having me. This was fun and nice meeting you.
Thanks for listening. Please stay tuned for more episodes soon.